The Big Ten, Pac-12 announced that football will be called off for the fall. We'll see if other conferences follow suit. But don't think for a second that this is the end of the story, because there are so many questions about what's next. Are they going to play in the spring? Can you play in the spring? If you were a player, would you play in the spring? Do players go home? Do they stay on campus? Can they work out while they're on campus? Can players try to compete elsewhere if there's no place else to go right now? What about the long-term impact on the sport? What about the NFL draft? What am I going to do on Saturdays, more importantly? And depending on what happens, the NFL could fill some of that TV time spreading out their schedule, but it's impossible to replace the games we become so used to. And there's going to be a void in the life of many sports fans, but hopefully one day soon we'll be able to be on the other side of this pandemic and our day-to-day lives will return to normal, whatever that means, which means building our weekends around college football. As I told you on Monday morning when I got the information that the Big Ten and Pac-12 were going to announce on Tuesday that they were canceling their seasons, which obviously happened. And I didn't know about the ACC or SEC other than I was told by my source they are going full speed ahead. Notre Dame is planning on playing football. And then I said, what about the Big 12? And my source at the time said they're on the fence right now. You have Oklahoma and Texas who want to play, not quite sure about the rest of the Big 12. This is what I got from my source this morning. This is from a Big 12 coach. Quote, when this happens, it separates the ACC, SEC, Big 12 from the others forever. That sounds like the Big 12 is playing. It's all fluid. It can change. I've said that from the outset. In fact, on Tuesday morning, when the Big Ten presidents were going to be voting again, I was told by my source they're trying to delay this. It was happening in real time when he was giving me the information. They were doing their best to go spring football or delay. And then the consensus was we're not going to be playing football. But I also told you from the beginning, my source said the Pac-12 did not want to be the first conference to cancel. They didn't want the optics to look like, well, the Pac-12 is sort of lesser conference of the Power 5 conference. And you saw what happened. The Big Ten announced it first, and then the Pac-12 followed. Do I think the ACC and SEC are going to play? I do. I do right now. And I was asked this question last night by a former coach. And he said, is it a good thing what happened with the Pac-10 or Pac-12 and the Big Ten? Is it a good thing what's happening with the SEC and ACC? And I said, I don't know. I mean, I'm looking at this and trying to be objective. If you can play it and they're going to be safe, because the former coach said they're going to be safer on campus. Now, he's all for everybody playing. And he said, you know, the biggest problem is I don't know how much thought the presidents of the Big Ten schools gave this, believe it or not. How much dialogue they had. Because it feels like the SEC and ACC, they're in lockstep here. And I know that the Big 12 is just not quite sure, but Oklahoma and Texas want to play, and they run that conference. Can you get everybody else to fall in line? But the safety protocols, from what we hear with the SEC and ACC, we're not finding that there are very many positive tests here. I would love to have the medical community, the doctors with the ACC and SEC, get together with the Pac-12 and Big Ten doctors, and I would just love to have them talk to one another. Because what's the difference? Or what are the differences? Because I don't know. But if the ACC and SEC has medical communities that are saying we can do this, then why can't the Pac-12 or Big Ten? And I'm being objective with this. I don't know what is the right or wrong answer because I don't know. We may look back and say ACC and SEC pulled this off. The NFL, I believe, will pull this off. They're going to start. I don't know if they'll finish, but they're going to start. There might be an interruption. Soccer's pulled it off. Hockey's pulled it off. The NBA's pulled it off. Golf. I know it's different. Baseball, not so much. But I don't have a right answer here. And I may not have that until the end of this year. But I think the Big 12 is really important to keep an eye on them, because if you have the Big 12 and you have the ACC and you have the SEC, you can have a college football season. And I think it comes down to that. If you have almost 40 teams who are going to be competing, and these are marquee teams as well. I mean, we lose out on the Big Ten. And that really comes down to you lose out on Ohio State. You might say Wisconsin, Michigan State had a down year. Michigan, who knows? But, Pac-12, maybe you get one or two really good teams out of there. But this, you could make an argument. The ACC and SEC, when they're done with their conferences, those two teams who win are going to play for the national championship. But if I have Clemson, Alabama, and LSU, I throw in Oklahoma, I'm fine. I mean, that's pretty much the Final Four. I'm good with that. I don't have an answer. I don't know what's right and wrong. I know what I thought is possible, not possible, but just trying to figure this out. And what is strange is when somebody says this to me yesterday, in fact, people responded, it's like, they need a commissioner. College football needs a commissioner. I said, they have a president. I mean, we could rename him and just say he's a commissioner, but Mark Emmert has disappeared. I haven't seen anything from him, heard anything from him. Fritzy calls, you got him on speed dial, I think. We're always saying, can we get the president of the NCAA on? He's always unavailable. But we're trying. Because I'm just trying to get answers here, just to understand it. Somebody said yesterday, what about fans? Man, let's hold off. Let's just get football players first on the field. And then if you get an opportunity where you can put in 20,000 fans. But I don't know where we are right now with college football. Other than when we had Greg Sankey on, why is it the SEC commissioner is so readily available? Nobody else is. Because he's playing football this year. ACC, sounds like they're playing football. Source yesterday, I said, where's Notre Dame? Notre Dame is ready to go. That was the comment. Ready to go. And I go, okay, they're already back at school. Ready to go. Source said, if you watch Notre Dame workout practice, you wouldn't think that there was anything wrong, that they're ready to go to play football. And I went, all right. So I don't know if the Big Ten, Pac-12 made the right decision or not. If they made the decision for the health and well-being of the student athlete, great. How much money was involved in this decision? How many conversations did the presidents have with one another is what I wanted to know. And from what I was told, not many. And that's why you had this vote. You had the presidents voting, and they voted 12-2 in the Big Ten. 12 said no, 2 said yes, Iowa and Nebraska. And then they went, and I was told that I mobilized college football. My source said, you know what? You mobilized college football. You got the players, coaches, and athletic directors on the same page, which never happens. And you got these presidents to reconsider their votes. Didn't change it because my source said they had already made the decision. They were too far down the road in both of those conferences. But your comments when you broke the story on Monday mobilized college football. So for those who've said, oh, yeah, you got what you wanted, there's no college football, I don't want this. I need college football. I'm hopeful that we have college football. I wanted to be wrong with this. But when I got that information from somebody that I trust, I had to share it on Monday morning. I took no glee, no pride in that, other than we do our homework here. And when I tell you something, I've done my homework. But I didn't come away feeling good about that on Monday. In fact, I felt worse. Hated saying that. And then it turned out to be true yesterday when we heard the Pac-10, the Pac-12 and Big Ten. We're going to shut things down.